Those sites coming in from this week, which produced a whole bunch of different varieties, from last weekend's tornado outbreak to some of the severe weather that took place through the middle of the week. We had a dust storm in there, plus a blizzard. It's been an active time.
It has been really much of the month of March, and while it is spring now, we still have some of that winter weather kind of clinging on.
Yeah, winter always tries to fight back through the month of March, and it's doing just that. As you look across the nation, you can see there is some precipitation, one in the form of a cold front coming through, mostly with rain showers across the northeast.
Yeah, we'll start to see more snow mix in tomorrow with a different system, but looking out to the west, we're staying active there as well.
Yeah, there's a whole new storm system moving out of the northern Rockies. Not a lot of moisture with it just yet, but it'll gain some of that as it'll wrap those winds up too. Southerly flow across the plains see some of the fire video coming in from Texas. By the way, Nebraska, they're still dealing with power outages from the wind from the blizzard. So winds, not necessarily the best thing across the plains, and we get them this time of year. Gusty winds coming back at us. If you're looking for rain, you have to head a little farther north, and it comes pretty late. I think probably after sunset tonight. Eastern Kansas into much of the state of Missouri. That's where the thunderstorms will be. For the threats here of severe weather, we're lowest on the scale out of our tier of severe weather threats. So we are not talking about really widespread thunderstorm reports coming through with damaging winds and those types of things, but we could see some large hail as well as some heavy rainfall that could lead to flooding in a few spots. Storm system works its way on east, and with it, more thunderstorms. There will be some severe weather too as we head into tomorrow. Places like Shreveport to Memphis could have some of those severe thunderstorms, but we'll still extend from Kentucky on south where those thunderstorms form. Some of them could have damaging winds, possibly some hail with them, but really it's about that heavy rainfall here that could create some localized flooding before things dry out into Monday, and that moves off the East Coast. Some risk for severe weather, again, lowest threat. Those sites from this March showing you how windy it has been, and windy is often the case when it comes to a month like March, that transitional season across the nation. Thanks for joining us here on AccuWeather Weekend. I'm Melissa Constanzer. By the way, first weekend of spring, so there's that. Hopefully you're enjoying it. We'll take you across the nation to show you what's going on here as we take a look at the maps, and you can see one storm system. This is a weak low pressure system, but it brings a cold front trailing through some of the Ohio Valley in the northeast. It means some showers out there for a few folks. Meanwhile, off towards the west, you can see through the Intermountain West, we do have some snow showers, a lot of wind ramping up across states like Montana and Wyoming as we head through today. Southerly flow from the Gulf of Mexico and the south. For you again, I wanted to show you the fire danger here coming in across New Mexico into western Texas. Unfortunately, that has not changed much. Oklahoma City. As we transition through your Saturday night, though, do know there is a chance for rain in a few spots. We're actually going to get some thunderstorms from eastern Kansas stretching across much of Missouri. Some of these thunderstorms could be strong to severe with damaging wind being one of the main threats, but really we'll also be talking about a little bit of small hail. I think rounds of rain could lead to some localized flooding, but nothing is widespread here as we talk about that risk for severe weather. Storm system will move east heading into Sunday. Note who doesn't get the rain. Lots of these areas here across the high plains, so we miss out on the moisture and we stay dry in Lubbock. Temperatures in the lower 70s. See that flow coming in out of the south, trying to pull the moisture in. Does allow for some clouds, maybe a sprinkle here or there, but we really don't get that energy going until later on this evening. This is 9:30 Central Time. There's some of those thunderstorms starting up across southwestern western Missouri, and moving through Kansas. You'll see a little bit more activity taking off late. So this is the cold front here, allowing for more showers and thunderstorms to work its way on east, and that's where we get those rounds of rainfall that could produce some flooding. Into tomorrow morning, if you're headed off towards church or some errands possibly, you can see the strong winds associated with that front. We still have some showers here off towards the south, but that's going to ignite more thunderstorms as it collides with more Gulf of Mexico moisture, or Gulf moisture, I should say, as we go from Texas anywhere towards middle Tennessee. You can see those thunderstorms here still firing their way on through from eastern Texas through northern. Of course, we are entering through the beginning weeks of spring, and springtime means cherry blossoms will soon be lining the National Mall and Washington, D.C. Some great times there in the Northeast, and you know, cherry blossom season is always fun. I actually got to experience it 2 years ago, and it really is it's kind of stunning to see all of those trees in bloom. Here we are across the Northeast. Rain pushing its way on in, so if you're headed out and about for your Saturday, you are going to have some challenges with a few showers out there, but I don't think this is enough to really slow you down. It does keep things notably kind of on the cool side. We're in the 40s here for Buffalo, 50s for Pittsburgh. It's March. We really can't expect much more. 61 in New York City, not bad for us with some showers working in late in the day. Most likely is where we have that passing shower or two. As we head into Sunday, well, that was a cold front that moved offshore, so now we have the chilly air still holding on across the Northeast, and of course that means, yes, we're going to keep those numbers down in a few spots. Quick peek here of the numbers shows you
risks, and you can actually kind of estimate wind gusts and the speed of the wind based on some visual clues. So we'll start with your baseline severe thunderstorm. Thunderstorms have to have wind gusts 58 miles per hour or greater in order to meet the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. This is when power lines are going to be swaying. You could have reduced visibility because of dust, things like that. Then there's another category, a severe thunderstorm warning marked as destructive. This is when the wind gusts get to 80 miles per hour or greater. Large trees can be uprooted. Roof shingles, fences, siding, all that kind of damage is sustained with that kind of wind. Then we get to hurricane force winds. A category 1 is 74 mile per hour wind gusts or greater. Palm trees will bend because of the wind, and we'll likely see damage, even flooding, and water movement kind of influenced by the wind. Well, we're looking at a severe weather threat to close out the weekend. So let's break it down piece by piece here, starting with kind of how this plays out on future radar. It really starts overnight into Sunday, and by Sunday 7 a.m. we see some of the heavier downpours into Kentucky working their way into Tennessee, but really we start to see a line of storms form as we go throughout our Sunday, especially into the afternoon and the evening hours. That line starts to strengthen. Now we're into the overnight hours, so Sunday overnight into Monday, when we see more of those heavy downpours associated with that line of thunderstorms. We continue to watch this play out Monday, and then our attention turns more to the Gulf Coast here. Now, we do have a severe risk out for Sunday and Monday, so we'll start with Sunday. This is a level 1, some risk. It's a level 1 out of 4 here, so not like the tornado outbreak that we were looking at last weekend, but still something to be aware of because we can't rule out isolated tornadoes. We do expect to see at least a couple of tornadoes on the ground. And unfortunately, this is including some of the same areas that saw tornadoes last weekend and are still trying to recover from that damage. Now, in addition to the isolated tornado threat, there's a risk of flooding downpours and hail. Now, as far as timing, the northern portion here, you have a better chance of seeing morning severe storms kind of fueled by what happens overnight. But further to the south, afternoon and evening is going to be your best chance for severe weather. Monday, like I said, we turn our attention to the Gulf Coast. Still a level 1 out of 4, some risk of severe weather. The tornado threat, not as great as Sunday. Can't completely rule it out, but flooding downpours and hail are going to be your biggest threats, along with the damaging wind gusts. That's something we'll be watching out for as well throughout our Monday.